Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Bushell, and this is the painting that I would like to present to you today. This piece is called Time. I believe it to be a visual representation of the inevitably transient nature of life. It's an acknowledgement of the fragility and unpredictability of being alive, as well as the beauty and the uniqueness that comes with it. This painting was made by Cristina Troufa, a Portuguese artist born in 1974 who strives to capture emotion and identity through her art. She uses photography to bring her work to life by using pictures she takes of herself as references for her paintings. This makes her art totally unique and more personal to her, allowing for her identity to be shown true to life and exactly how she wants it to be presented. Troufa paints expressive and figurative self-portraits with detailed, realistic features that accurately portray real human bodies. Her art style has several contemporary aspects that define it, making her works more visually interesting and open to the viewer's interpretation. Troufa uses an altered palette to paint her works. She also uses negative space, often leaving the clothes and large areas of skin mostly blank. Instead, the colour focuses more on the subject's face, hands, feet and joints. Many of Troufa's artworks feature the subject interacting either with visually identical duplicates of themselves or with objects such as chairs, ladders and walls. One thing that these all have in common is that they do not have a unique life. The more obvious show of this is that inanimate objects are not alive at all, so the only way that these material things can establish an identity is through people's perceptions of them, based off of their own personal experiences with the object. Then there are her paintings that feature multiple subjects. These people are just clones of each other, so they do not present the individuality of being human, and they could even be interpreted as not being alive at all because of this. This has led me to observe how the painting Time goes down a different route to the rest of her works. In Time, we can see that the subject of the painting has several bunches of lily flowers sprouting from different parts of her body. I believe that Troufa's decision to use flowers has an incredibly significant impact on the overall meaning of the piece. Flowers are living organisms. They all have DNA, distinctive colourings, and unique physical characteristics. But most importantly, they experience life. Like any other living thing, they experience birth and growth. They thrive in healthy environments, but deteriorate when their needs are not sustained, and in the end, they will inevitably wilt and decay. But why is it important that she has painted these two living things into her piece? I believe that to truly explore the effect of time, it's essential to consider all different walks of life, even those outside of human. All living beings are fundamentally connected and heavily depend on one another, forming an intricate web of relationships within a delicately balanced ecosystem. The painting demonstrates this interdependence by painting the flowers to look as though they are sprouting directly from the woman's skin, creating a joint being and establishing them as equals. Another way that Troufa has put the two on the same level is by showing their instinct to survive. All life leads to death, but the desire to stay safe is essential to our nature. She has demonstrated this by using their body language to create an impactful composition, making them both appear to be searching or reaching out for something to hold on to. Firstly, we can see this in the flowers growing at the top of the piece. Their petals are open towards the blue-painted sky and searching for sunlight, needing to give them the energy to develop. This is shown a second time through the woman's positioning. We can see that she is looking off to the side with a confused expression painted on her face, and both of her hands are outstretched as if holding on to something. Given the title of the piece, we can interpret this as her searching for time. Maybe she is looking for where time went and where it's going, or perhaps she wants time to stand still and stop its endless journey. The way I see it, she is searching for the reasons as to why life changes with time and longs for a sense of security and reassurance within the answer. The human need to find the meaning of our lives is essential to our nature, but everyone has different questions to ask depending on who they are and where they are in their life. We can gain an idea of what questions she might be asking by looking at the other half of the piece. Flowers have been used to convey messages since the early 19th century. Different flowers, with different colours, arranged in different ways, can have vastly different meanings. In this piece, Troufa has used white lilies, or Lilium candidum. These flowers represent fertility and rebirth, so they are often used as a celebration of new life or significant change. However, the bunch growing from her abdomen is wilting. The petals have brown streaks and fold over limply, implying this particular cluster is not serving its purpose. Given the meaning and the location of the lilies, I think that this piece is making a statement of the societal pressures of menopause and infertility in women. People often put a lot of pressure on women to have children before it's too late. There is an expectation to base the trajectory of our entire lives solely on following one path and goal, to create a family. Many women who choose not to go down this path, or even those who are not biologically able to, are seen to be going against the socially accepted expectation that all girls will grow up to become mothers. In today's society, we may not notice this quite as much, as many people's views and perspectives on individual liberty have changed. However, this stereotype is deeply rooted within our society and still has a much larger effect than we may realise. The pressure that is put upon women can appear everywhere, from comments people make in conversations, from what is represented in the media we consume, and even from close friends and family. We are surrounded by the expectation to know what we want our lives to become from the moment we open our eyes. Take me, for example. I am 17 years old. I like writing, drawing, and listening to music. And I'm transgender. Because of this, I have already had people ask me questions about how I'm going to have children when I grow up. I've heard warnings that if I decide to take testosterone or a gender-affirming surgery, that I won't be able to become pregnant, and that my only option will be to struggle through adoption agencies. But I don't even want to have children. It's just what people expect me to do, and so they immediately presume that my life will be predicted by a possible inability to conceive. I've even had people tell me that I'm going to struggle to find a partner who will accept me just because of my body. I think that a very similar point is being presented in this painting, made by a woman who is in her early 50s, living in a different part of the world, and has established a successful career, the polar opposite of me. The fact that two people who are so different can both express their experiences of how society has changed us and caused us to feel pressured to figure out how to shape our lives in such a significant way shines a light on just how ingrained this is in our society and how damaging it can be to everyone. Troufa's painting has defied these expectations because while the lilies at the bottom of the piece may be wilting, a mirror of her losing her fertility, there remains a second branch, going from her head at the top of the piece. And these flowers are bright white and in full bloom. I perceive these flowers not as a symbol of physical fertility, but as a mark of mental and spiritual rebirth. Her mind is what makes her human, what defines who she is and what she can become. Because of this, her mind is flourishing above it all. This painting brings forth a sense of satisfaction, as her thriving mind has allowed her to live as a successful, fulfilled woman and artist. Despite this, she also presents feelings of anger or resentment in her furrowed brows and curling fingers. These negative feelings cut through and leave her in a state of confusion. But the amalgamation of the many emotions she presents and the cultural and personal meanings that she presents leaves me wanting to know what she could be thinking. And I believe that it's the same thing that so many of us are forced to think. Will I ever be worth more than my body? Does being born a woman really mean that we have to spend our lives being seen as some strange, exotic creature that you feel the need to judge from time to time in a round-table discussion? A discussion that, more often than not, we are not included in. Can we not be trusted to make decisions for our own lives without it being shrugged off as some immature whimsy of adolescence just because she'll change her mind when she grows up. So we grow up, stuck in the fear that everything we want for our lives is a false truth, a facade that will slip away and leave us stranded. Or maybe we do know what we want. Maybe we can choose the best path for our own lives. Maybe we can decide who we want to be without being defined by somebody else's expectations of what we do with our bodies. And this is what I believe her painting is trying to say. Thank you.